My name is Martin Carter, artist who works in found objects and makes furniture and sculpture and does a little bit of performance art. I'm the instigator of this space, the workshops in Lawrence Street here, and that is about trying to bring people together to get their ideas to, let's see what you're doing and let's mix it up a wee bit and have a bit of, hopefully have actually a bit of fun with what you're doing and enjoy doing it, Well, the workshop itself is probably a bit of a menagerie or an eclectic mixture of bits and pieces that myself and other people have collected over the last 20 years. If people come in and look around, you'll find a lot of everyday objects that were manufactured in the last 100 years. A lot of it would be local stuff or would have local connotations, and that interests me. I know the background of each piece of wood or each piece of metal or each piece of plastic, and that sort of interests me, that I have a story or something to tell about it. And I suppose it's part of the history of the city as well, or Irish furniture in general is an interesting subject. I mean, a lot of the older stuff was made from recycled materials. I'm not doing something new. I first started making furniture or restoring furniture when I was about 11 years of age, and my mother used to ask me when she would see the 12th of July bonfire to go out. She'd seen a nice chair on the bonfire, and we were a single parent family living on £4 a week, not very much furniture in the house, so I would run out at 11 o'clock at night and steal this chair off the bonfire, taking my life in my hands because it was a local had a. Well, I've done various things over the years. One of the things I did about 2-3 years ago, and I sort of can't stop doing, as an art project for another group here in Belfast called Catalyst, which is a group that I, over the last 20 years, have existed around the time. I think they're going about 17 years, and that the idea of that space is that young students take a year out from our college and they learn how to do curation and set up exhibitions. And the beauty of Catalyst is that those people change every 2 years, so there's different mixtures of work coming through all the time. But they did have a difficulty at one stage because they were doing a lot of contemporary art, that they needed something that was a bit more community based, because there's a big emphasis throughout the rest of Britain, but especially in Northern Ireland, on doing community projects. And they asked me, as somebody who's very sort of community sort of orientated, to sort of, would there be something I could do? I met a young woman who was doing art projects with a horse, Anne-Marie Dillon, in the centre of Belfast, and she was asking me, I'd love to bring my horse up to Belfast to do something. So I said to her, I'm making a stable, even though I hadn't really started, but I had the space set aside for it. So I made the stable, and she brought the horse up, and she walked the horse around all the different galleries in Belfast. And when she was here, I had thought about this thing with Catalyst and thought about doing a rag and bone man, because it was something that was in the culture of the city, and I'd say a lot of European cities, where people went round with horses and they either collected rabbits in Dublin, rabbit skins, or they collected clothes, or they collected metal, or they collected, But the interesting thing about was going out with Anne-Marie and the reception that the horse got. That was it, I was fixed on it then. And then I have this voice, that I love using. As a child, I used to sell the newspapers and things like that. So, and I used to, when I seen Rag and Bone Men, I would be shouting after them. I used to just love that sort of, like, you're out in the street and you've got a horse. So I eventually found, after a lot of looking, a flat cart, but it actually had been burnt in a fire. So I had to sort of basically remake it, but the wheels were still okay and intact, and the springs, and started just going around Belfast, any old rags, and the reception. Anne-Marie actually thinks that what I do is I do therapy for Belfast, because it is, because just people smile at you all day. You get the odd taxi driver who wants you out of the way, but the vast majority of people just love to see that. And I've done a lot of work with kids over the years, and that not the four group is very important in educational terms and very important in environmental terms, and it's just, for the children's environment to be something to be good and to have good memories of. And that was one of the things about Belfast, was that there was memories like that for me as a child before the trouble started, of these old blokes with carts and horses, and the crack that ensued, and people chasing after it, and the fun and the laughter, which I suppose in the early 70s that sort of ended in a way. Still to this day, when I go out, I was out yesterday actually, and you walk down the street and a child comes out, and if it's during the school term, it's the younger ones that come out, and that's the ones that I'm really, because the cart looks so much bigger to them. It's a pony, it's about 13 hands too, so it's not a huge horse, it's a pony, but to a 4-year-old, it's a massive object in the street that they've never seen before, and they just look and they go, oh, mommy, mommy, you know, and they come running back out with their mother, and the two of them just stand there and they're smiling and they're laughing, and then I say to them, well, do you want to have a ride on the cart? Have you any odd socks? So I've started collecting odd socks as just a way of getting something from people in the community, and I've been making bunting with it, because we have a lot of divisive bunting here rather than bunting that sort of brings people together. And I think I had a Roald Dahl moment, just thinking of the image of the football sock and the baby's sock, and then you meet all the older generation who's, "Hi Billy, you worked with horses for 30 years," and you know, people cry. You know, old women would be feeding the horse carrots and tears in their eyes. You know, because it brings back all those memories of the way Belfast and the way it was when it had a bit of innocence.